Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa. This is Transfer Hub, your home of Aston Villa's transfer news, links, rumours, noise, murmurings, incomings, outgoings, you name it. We will find it here on Transfer Hub. If you are new to our channel, make sure you are subscribing. Get on the journey with us. Smash the like button. And most importantly, comment your thoughts in the comment section. Right, so on today's episode, we're going to talk about Vidagany's comments that he's put on X after the departure of Jacob Ramsey was confirmed by Villa. We're going to talk about two of the players that have also mentioned Jacob Ramsey as well. And we're just going to touch on the magnitude of kind of where we are within this window and what I actually hope is going to happen during and after this window. So we'll get straight into it then. So Vidagany, everybody would probably remember the interview that he did on TalkSport with Monchi last summer after the transfer window closed, where he was talking about how difficult PSR is and how difficult Aston Villa's window was. Well, his quote retweeted that last night and he's put 1 year later, every word's come stronger. We keep fighting this situation to deliver a good team and comply with PSR and UEFA rules. As difficult it is, we won't give up. Thanks and good luck, JJ. So there's been a lot of noise this weekend regarding Aston Villa's situation within transfer windows. We saw the banner alofted in front of the Holt End, no limits to our dreams. A quote that I absolutely love from Unai Emery, and it's something that I stand by with Aston Villa while we have Unai Emery, Monchi, Vidagany, the whole connection, because it's so true that we should be able to dream. But obviously, we are being held back by financial regulations. Everybody can see that. We complied with the Premier League. The UEFA ones are a little bit more difficult, and it makes it even more difficult when you are selling homegrown players, and it's not the greatest of looks, is it? But we've had to do it, and unfortunately, that's one way of Villa working around, navigating. And I imagine it was a very, very tough decision to make from everybody involved. The players have also spoke as well. But where I'm at now is that if I'm looking at this window now and we're talking about 40 plus million is going to be banked, pure profit. We've got Leon Bailey looks set to go to Roma. So his wages and a loan fee with an obligation if that gets met. We've got Dendonka, who's close to leaving his club as well. So Ramsey alone with his wages doesn't really take a hit because he was a low earner at Villa. He wasn't on massive amounts of money. But Bailey combined with Dendonka gives Villa a massive wedge of wages that are going to be saved. So I hope that enables Villa now to bring in two players. I think I'm looking at two players now. I want a defender and an attacker. I think that's where I'm at now. Is it Asensio? Is it? I don't know who it is, but that is where I would like Villa to strengthen, and an area that I think we need to strengthen going into the summer. And then we have to just get on with it. Like, we got to just get on with it, and just get to January. Hope this season is competitive and good, which I think it will be. And then with next year's financials, with the Champions League into the account, then we should be okay. So it's frustrating that we're in this position. It's frustrating that we've got to talk about it. And it's frustrating that we're being held back. But I see us, we've just got to navigate it. We've just got to get round it because nobody's going to help us out. Nobody. Why would any other club in the Premier League want to feel sorry for Villa, apart from Newcastle? Because the other clubs don't want us there. They don't want us challenging the top. The big six clubs, they don't want Villa nowhere near it. The Premier League probably don't want Villa nowhere near it. They want their protection of their so-called big six clubs. The clubs that if you went to Richard Masters and said, Richard, go on, name 6 clubs in the Premier League. Who do you think he's naming first? Manchester United, Chelsea, City, Arsenal, Spurs. He's naming those clubs because that's what his product is built around. He's built the Premier League is built around those 6 clubs, protecting those 6 clubs, allowing those clubs to prosper, and not allowing anybody else that can get anywhere near it. And yeah, those rules were brought in so no one goes bankrupt, or there's not, clubs that are in dire situations. Okay, fair enough. But times are slightly evolving in the Premier League now. Most Premier League clubs are owned by multi-billionaires. And it's not a good look for anybody else. If you are, say, for example, Sunderland. Okay, Sunderland have come into the Premier League and attacked it. They have attacked it with signings, right? They have probably got space around being able to lose £105 million in that 3 years. They're probably safe to able to do that. So they're able to probably have one window where they absolutely smash it, right? Sunderland won't be spending 105 million or over 100 million season after season after season because the financial rules won't allow them to actually do that. So you're talking about clubs that are coming from a championship or trying to grow or etc. Then there'll become a limit where the Premier League go, stop. You can't spend no more now. And then you have to start watching and being savvy. And yes, it all boils down to, okay, go on then, grow your revenue. Go and grow your revenue and go and try and compete with these. But these other clubs, they've already got that guaranteed revenue. And this is my point about Manchester United when they're signing Cunha, they're signing this player, that player, and people go, why would you go to Man United? Their finish of the last season or the last couple is totally irrelevant because they still bring in over £700 million worth of revenue. They've got that pull because they're always going to be there. They're Manchester United. Use Aston Villa in a different situation now. If Villa finished 15th this season, it's game over because the European phase, the money that we generate through Europe, we would just be a complete, not a mess, but our project is completely shunted. Europe is important because of the revenue that it brings to the football club as well. And obviously the players that it can attract. That gives Villa that little bit more pull because we're in Europe, etc. You take that away, you start looking at players that, say, West Ham are looking at and those middle of the road sort of teams. So there's the difference, that they're absolutely global. They can have a bad season and they'll still bring in 700 million. But there's no, what I'm trying to get at is there's no sort of like retrospective sort of like punishment for being bad. They don't have punishment for being bad because their financials will always be there. They'll finish 15th last year and they will still make more revenue than Aston Villa did, who competed and got to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. That is the difference. That is what we're competing with. So we've got to keep growing as a football club somehow with revenue streams to be able to close that gap. And we have done, because the revenue is going up season on, season out. We've just got to keep getting there, like, and using savvy ways of being able to do it. So training, wear sponsorship. It maybe if it's just on the players, put the sponsorship on the front of the training gear. We don't do that. The training ground, it's Bodymore Heath. Call it something else, and that's the difference. When the presses are at Bodymore Heath, at least it'll say, for example, I don't know, Fortress Bodymore Heath or something like that. Whereas the difference with Villa Park is it's always Villa Park. So there's a when I had Kieran Maguire on and we were talking about naming rights, he was basically saying you're not going to attract a big sponsor for your ground because it's always going to be called Villa Park. To that sponsor, it's going to be very difficult to call it something outside of Villa, something Park or something Villa Park. So we need to be creative and we need to find ways of increasing our revenue, because it's needed massively, and it has to help. When the warehouse gets built, something Villa warehouse, and I think, for them as well, that'll have a good sponsorship, that will, because sort of, like the O2 in Birmingham, the O2, it's called the O2, isn't it? Or whatever it used to be called, or HMV Arena or something like that. So at least on people's tickets, if they're going to a gig or boxing or whatever, it'll say blah, blah, blah on top of the ticket. So again, you can get creative like that. And I know I'm going off on one, but it's all connected. So for me, it's about being competitive. It's about competing. If Premier League going for, if that's really difficult this year, okay, but Europe has to be in there. So I'm just going to touch on what some of the players have said, and I'll go back to where I think this kind of leads Villa. So Tyrone Mings put on his Instagram post, when they put a picture of Ramsey, he said, "Don't want to hear any bad words or anything negative on his name. You don't know the half." John McGinn put, "Always humble, respectful, and willing to learn. It's been a privilege to share the dressing room with you and enjoy special moments together on the pitch. A sad day losing a top player and a person and one of your own, but it seems to be the way football is set up these days." So John McGinn is talking about the actual system of the way in which football has gone. And it's commendable because he has been speaking about it. He's mentioned it numerous times now. So the way in which I'm going here with this one now is that it seems like the players are fully aware of Villa's situation, which is good. But it is vitally important that these players use this and harness this as motivation for the season. We have got to bottle this up and use it as hunger, use it as fight, use it as determination to fight for the club, fight for the badge, and get this club continually where it should be. So I think that is a good starting block for Villa. It's a good motivation. It's a good shifter to, if we have bad moments this season, to come together and fight for each other. Now, it's not a time for feeling sorry for ourselves and feeling like we're being hard done to on the pitch. So it's about bottling it up and using it. I listened to Dan Burn after the game against Villa, and he was talking about the Isak situation. And he was saying that the group have come together. They're stronger than ever. They are all in it together. Not one person is bigger than the club. So different situations, but you can see how they're using it to harness and fight for each other. And that's something that Aston Villa have definitely got to do. So I think it's clear now that we've got to somehow kind of attack this market then, whether there's players on loan or whether it's I don't know who it's going to be. Asensio, I think right now improves us, but I still think we need a bit of pace. So I think we lack a bit of pace on the bench. So I'd like to see some pace and a defender. So I imagine they're working tirelessly, but I also kind of feel like if we still can't go out and sign a player now, after Dendoncker, Bailey, Ramsey going, it's not even worth thinking about. It's not even worth thinking about because that would be absolutely shocking. But let's not go that deep, I think. But yeah, hopefully that's gave us enough. I mean, I put a tweet out a couple of weeks ago saying Ramsey alone won't really allow us to do loads. And I think I was kind of right that it needed to be more than one. So, you know, it's unfortunate that Ramsey's had to be that player. Ramsey's had to go. But, you know, we've got to look at the good of Villa, and we've got to compete. You know, I've spoke about how important it is for Villa to compete this summer and this season. So, yeah. So hopefully today or tomorrow or this week, we see someone kind of coming in because we signed Guesson, but we still need more in attacking areas as well. So let's see how we progress then, and let's see how we look. But I just wanted to share this with you because I think it's important. And hopefully I've said a couple of good things on here as well. So let me know your thoughts on the situation, what Vidagany said, what Emery's been saying the weekend, what some of the lads have been saying. So let me know your thoughts. Up the Villa. Oh, by the way, before I go, I actually did a really good episode yesterday. So I'd like if you can watch it. So I'll pin it onto the end of this and hopefully you can just watch it after this. Up the Villa.